Well, hi everybody. It's just an update really. God, it just seems like an age since been out on the bike, done anything really much outside. Work was pretty intense coming up to Christmas, so there was no time to kind of even think about anything. And now we finally got rid of January. God, how long did that go on? It just seemed to take weeks and weeks and weeks of just relentless bad weather, low after low after low. And so depressing, and I know for a lot of people, difficult. Lack of sunlight, is not great. A lot of people struggling financially. But I've had a walk around the garden today, and there's some buds appearing on some of the plants. So spring, trust me, is coming. I think we've got another very cold spell this next week coming up, which will make things probably even more difficult. Staying warm, but yeah. So not been out on the bike. As most of you know, my bike spends most of its time, like a lot of people's, indoors over the winter months. Yeah, there are people who say, oh, if you've been riding bikes, you should ride them all year round. Well, yeah, I totally agree with that. I think it'd be brilliant. But it does depend on the type of bike you've got. And these cruisers aren't the best on muddy roads or damp corners. They're more or less straight line bikes, although they do take corners. And if you've seen some of the videos that I've done in Europe on the cruisers that I've had, they'll go anywhere really. But as I say, bad road conditions, particularly around where I live. We've got a huge industrial farming company here that travel miles and miles and miles on the roads. They don't just pop out of a field and go straight to the farm. They travel miles and generally spread out muck and mud behind them, so it's not great. So what's happening? Well, 2025, it's here, and unlike most years, I'm not taking the bike to Europe this year, and I'm kind of almost regretting that I'm not, but I'm not. I'm doing a four-wheel trip in my van. I used to travel a lot in the van, have travelled a lot in the van, been all over the place in vans, down to the Sahara Desert and right out, across all the way through France, Spain, Portugal, all around Scotland and the islands, and had great times. And then recently we sold the van, the camper van, and bought a much smaller van, which we we use for work primarily. That's what it's for. It's a work van. But we thought it'd be a great idea to make it into a little mini camper and do some trips with it. And so I decked it all out as best I could for two people to go and do some traveling. And probably some of you saw the video that we did the trip up to Scotland and the Isle of Mull, which, as nice as those places are, beautiful, stunning, even in wet. The small van for two adults, with the idea that the cooking facilities were more or less open the back doors, and that's where your cooking was a disaster. The weather was horrendous. It was October. It was horrendous, and it just didn't work at all. We had two small dogs with us that were wet, and the upshot of it all was we turned around after a week and came back down and stayed in an Airbnb for a few days, just kind of get back to normality, and then brought the van home, and then we were working flat out, ever since. But I'm doing some changes to the van now because, unlike previous years, as I just mentioned, the bike trip to Europe is not happening. But I am taking the van to Europe, and what I'm doing is I'm doing a month-long trip down through Spain and Portugal, and then back up through, well, probably the Pyrenees, a little bit of anyways, and then back up through France. And I'm going down there on my own. I'm going on the Santander route in the van, and I'll be kipping in that, and I'm just now in the process of completely changing it and making it habitable for one person. I mean, two could still. I'm still working on the basis that two could still use this, but basically accommodation for one, with more facilities than I had before. So really good cooker on board and everything. So it's inside the van, so I can get to it. If it's pouring down with rain, I can still get to it rather than having to stand outside. And so I'm going to drive down through Spain, and I'm heading to a place called Chaves, which is in northern Portugal, where there's a route that goes right from there to Faro on the Algarve, and it's an internal route. It's not a coastal route. It goes through some stunning locations, stunning countryside, and that's what I'm going to do, and take a couple of weeks to do that before I arrive in Faro, where then I'll be met by my wife, who's flying down to Faro, and then we'll be jumping in the van, and basically then the whole thing changes because we'll be using Airbnb, which is what I normally do on the bike. I mean, to be honest with you, I normally do Airbnb on the bike. So we're going to be doing Airbnb right back up through Portugal, Spain and France before returning from Roscoff back to Plymouth. So that's what's happening as far as what I would normally do, and this is May, June time. But I'm so keen to get back on the bike that obviously prior to going down, I'm hoping to do a couple of runs somewhere. I'm not sure where yet. There's a few suggestions been put in there for me to have a look at. It might just be like a long weekend or something. But I'm also looking at September, or end of August, September, probably going to be September, of a trip up to the very north of Scotland. What I want to do is I want to do a route from the most southern point on the compass in mainland UK, which is actually where I live, Lizard Point, so that's obviously the reason, and heading up to the most northerly point on mainland UK. So we're not talking about Shetland and Orkney, we're talking about mainland UK. And a place called Dunnet Head, which is the most northerly point, not a million miles from John O'Groats, but yeah. And so I'm going to do that and back, which should be great. And so I'm kind of, the plans are out there for that, and it's just a matter of if I can get to, which I'm hopeful that I will do. So that's what I'm planning. There hasn't been any videos, and I'm really sorry about that, but I will be doing this van trip with extensive videos. I've got some gear now all set up ready for doing some what I hope to be really good footage from the trip. And obviously, because I'm in the van, I've got the ability to carry more kit with me. So whereas I've gone with very little kit before, I'm hopefully going to be able to take stuff that allows me to do some really nice videos of this trip down the N2, with in mind that anybody that's wanting to do it on bikes, I will be obviously looking at every angle for bikes and biking, campsites, accommodation, and putting that out. So although I'm going on four wheels, I'll very much be thinking two wheels, and who knows, maybe the following year I might even look at doing that trip. So watch your space. Probably like me, everybody out there is frustrated not being able to get out on the bikes, but yeah, it's going to happen soon, and trust that everybody's okay, and keep following me, and I'll get some more videos out, and we'll get back into it, and have some fun, and get, life's too short. I mean, life at the moment is just, with everything that's going on in politics, it's just drag you down. If you just, I've stopped watching the news, it's doing my head in. So there's a big world out there, and let's get out and see it. So I'll catch you all very soon. It just occurred to me actually that I might just put a little bit on the end of this of the van. I know most of you watching this are more into bikes, but yeah, I'll stick a little bit on the end to see what I'm doing with the van. I do have a trailer for the van, by the way, which a bike trailer, which I have used. Used it when I had the Indian. Haven't used it for transporting the Triumph anywhere yet, because it kind of was want to ride. But yeah, I do have that facility to do as well at some point if I ever want to. So yeah, I'll stick a little bit on the end, and look, see what you think. Okay, cheers for now. A unit has gone in now, which is basically the sink and the hob, and they come with little lift-up lids, so you can get into them. They're brand spanking new, so hence the nice cleaner. There's a tap to go in there as well, and there'll be work surfaces on the far end, and underneath there's going to be lots of storage area, which is going to be great because I've got lots of pots and pans to put in. The bed, as you can see, it's a slatted bed, but that's now been lowered, and I'm not still convinced of the position of that yet, but it's looking okay there, because if we swing around to the front now, it gives me loads of room to get in here, and you see ease of access for the gas bottle. I don't actually need a bottle that big, but it's fine. And I'm a great believer that everything has to come out, so all this is going to come out, and at the moment it's just temporarily held in place by, if I just focus on those, these are this thing here, but it will have proper connections that will hold the whole thing in, which doesn't affect this van, because I use this van as a work van. So I'm sorry about the focus, it seems to be going in and out all the time. So it's really important that I can get to the van and utilise it for work purposes. If you are wanting to use a van and you're going to take the things in and out, then these connection methods are really great. As they hold it really nice and tight, hold it in the framework in really good and solid, and then of course you can just release them and pull the whole unit out, which is what I need to do, because I do need the space in this van for commercial purposes. So that's where we got to so far, and there'll be more as the weeks progress. I'm not on my way now till May. The rest of the van, as you saw in previous videos, is all done, set out with electrics, sockets, lights, you name it, we've got it. But this really is the new bit, and I was really keen to get a very slimlined workstation, cooker, all the rest of it in. I think also on that far end there'll be a flip-up table. I have got the facilities to do that, so I think on the end there'll be a flip-up table as well. So that's it for today.